What's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling out here on Stockton Lake. Got Kim and Elijah out here with me. And pretty windy day here. We got like 20-mile-an-hour wind. And what I want to do is I want to talk about probably one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of anglers make as far as when you have a strong wind and they try to fish into the wind. So I'm going to idle you guys down this bank and I'm going to describe to you why you need to fish with the wind. So here we go, guys. Here's a prime example of some wind coming in on a bank like this. This is probably about a 10-mile-an-hour wind hitting this bank here. So what you always want to do in bass fishing, now some people have differing opinions on this, but I'm going to tell you from my own viewpoint, is always work down with the wind. So before you hit a bank, try to pay attention to which direction the wind's coming from and go this way with the wind, because there's a couple different things that this does. Number one is you don't have to be on the trolling motor quite so much, so you're going to be quieter. You're not on and off the trolling motor. You don't have the trolling motor at higher speeds, and so you're going to be more stealthy. Number two, it allows you to make a longer cast. If you cast with the wind, a lot of times you can double your casting length. So that's really critical in some, especially clear water environments. And finally, it's the way that your bait lays in the water. It's like when you cast into the wind, your bait comes through the water a lot more naturally. You have better contact with the bait, and if you're trying to cast into the wind, you lose a lot of that contact. So a lot of people will disagree with me on this. Simply they think that if you fish into the wind, you're fishing into the current because wind creates current. Guys, bass are not victims of the current like that. There's not, unless you're dealing with a 5 or 6 mile-an-hour current. I've caught just as many bass on the front side of current objects as I have the back side. So from that standpoint, the only time that I ever fish into the wind is if I have, say I found a deep brush pile that I've got to cast to one spot and I've got to stay on that spot, then sometimes I'll turn around and cast directly into the wind. But for the most part, you're going to find if you start fishing and start paying attention to the direction of the wind and try to position your boat to go with the wind and your cast with the wind, you're going to catch a lot more fish. And I don't care if if there's just barely a ripple on the water. I always try to fish with the wind. It seems like to me I can double the amount of bites I get by doing that. And I think a lot of people are taught at an early age to position the boat, try to fish into the wind, and I just haven't found it to be like that. There are some situations, like I said, where you have to pinpoint certain areas, but for the most part, if I have to slow down to an area, let's say that I'm fishing a row of floated bushes and the wind's blowing pretty good on it, instead of fishing into the wind, trying to be precise flipping those bushes, I'll back my trolling motor up if I need to slow down. So, it allows me to have the trolling motor on half as much. So I'll go with the wind, I'll just turn the trolling motor in reverse, I'll try to slow the boat a little bit. Occasionally I'll put the power poles down, and that'll also slow you down a little bit. But if I'm going too fast, I'll just make repeated casts, or repeated drifts through an area. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you guys in just fishing on the water is always fish with the wind. You're going to catch more fish under 98% of the times out there. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. See you.